Hello and welcome to the first devlog for Cauldron Craft. It's been a long time coming and I'm glad I've made enough progress to finally show you what I've been up to. I haven't hammered out all the details yet, but Cauldron Craft is essentially a gathering and crafting game. Set in a colorful world, you, an alchemist, get to explore different areas and search for magical items and ingredients. The world you're in is always shifting, so the time of day, the season, and even the weather can influence what items you find. Maybe at the beach you find sand, but in the forest you'll find moss, until it turns to night and you'll find a hidden something else. As you journey and become more proficient at gathering, you can start to collect items that are even higher quality. The more you gather these items, the more mastery you get, which will then unlock more item customizations. Each item comes with different traits that can be found during inspection. I'm hoping that the trait system is going to add some nuances and complexity to the crafting system. To be honest, this wasn't the kind of game I wanted to create at first. I thought I could do so much more. I was thinking about more of an auto battler / gear grinder genre, where the items you get are unique and fun. That's going to give you the flexibility to create unique builds and take on monsters and bosses, maybe in an infinite loop. But the more I worked on it, the more I realized I had gaps in my knowledge. I was struggling to create unique effects because of my lack of understanding of GD script. I spent so much time coding that I didn't focus on the playability or the feel of the game. And when others helped me test my prototypes, I could tell that it wasn't exactly sticking, even though I spent a monstrous amount of time on it. As it turns out, game dev is hard, and you have to learn so many things right off the bat. It was a bit bittersweet, but also refreshing. I took what I had and started cutting everything that didn't do with crafting. All the monsters, the skill tree and the stats, the fancy equipment system, buffs and debuffs, all of that until it was only what I needed. And then I started working on Cauldron Craft, but not like I did before. You see, my perspective had slightly changed. Previously, it was okay for me to test a game that didn't feel great, because I knew my priorities were developing systems in the game, and that meant doing a lot of coding. I would feel really happy seeing my inventory system come to life, seeing the initial auto battle sequence working. But that led me to the rut that I got stuck in. I decided instead to prioritize making the game fun, even at an early stage. And part of what that fun meant to me now was to focus more on the responsiveness, the feedback, and the art. Which is why I spent the first couple weeks thinking of the foundational areas in the new game, and detailing them. Things such as the outer home screen, the map, to select different locations, the exploration location. These were all different areas that I focused more of my energy on. Not saying my art is anywhere near good, but it was that my focus shifted from something that was so much more coding focused to a more balanced style. I've still got a lot of polish to do. The crafting system has the least amount of work done on it, so I need to focus on getting that a lot better. I need to make a little pop-up when you craft so that there's feedback on whether the item has boomed or not. Knowing what combination of items have already been tested so that you don't accidentally waste resources is another. And then I'm thinking about creating some form of quest system so that players can have direction in the game. Think something like a collection system style, Harvest Moon or Stardew Valley like. Players are going to be crafting a lot of items and will naturally have a lot of freedom to do so, which is why we need to give them a little goal to help them focus their resources, to help them choose what they want to unlock next. By accomplishing these things, I think I'll be a lot more ready to make a proper trailer, and with that, a Steam page. I know that was a lot of info dumping, but thanks for hanging in there. The final thing is, right now I'm thinking of making videos on my weekly updates to the game, such as this devlog, but also more formal Godot tutorials where I go in depth on different topics. So if you have a tutorial topic you want me to cover, just let me know. Now I'll show you some of what I've been working on in the day-to-day. I've got this nice statue done up in the forest right here. This is it. This is Cauldron Craft's first community center, if you will. The challenge here is that I've been using buttons to interact with different systems in my game. Take the book, used to identify different things, or the chest where you can see your different items. Instead of walking up to these objects and pressing some hotkey, I would interact with them by hitting a button on screen. So the first step to getting the questing complete will be for the player to be able to interact with the rest of the world without hitting a button. I've gone ahead and created the chest, the bed, and the cauldron as a static body 2D node. All of these should be the same, with a texture rect node and an atlas texture to define these visuals. I'm going to drag the sprite sheet in and mark out what part of the texture I want to use. And then I'm making sure that the relationship between the origin and the texture is good, so that I don't have any problems with texture overlap when I go to Y-sort. I'll also throw in a collision shape so that the little wizard can't really run through these things. I like using the capsule shape because you don't ever get stuck when walking around the object. It's more like a cool slide. By default, it's positioned vertically, so I end up rotating the shape 90 degrees before doing the spatial and size adjustments. And then this part of it is just a lot of back and forth testing. I slightly increase the collision shape or reposition it, and then run the scene again to make sure I'm not having weird clipping issues or noticing anything that shouldn't be happening. I've finished doing that for each of the new objects. The old ones exist on a tile map layer and had collision defined on the tile map when I created them. It's as simple as just right-clicking to remove these tiles and clean up that space. The next thing to do is to copy and paste the Area 2D Interact node to each of these objects. This is the area that the player has to step into to interact with the object. I thought changing the color to that sickly yellow might help with the visual clarity, but now I'm not quite sure. Currently, it's been coded so that if the player steps into the area, some text will appear over the object, letting you know that you can interact with the object. After adding those interaction areas, I made sure to fist bump each of these systems to make sure they're working. Now the fun part is playing Animal Crossing and getting these objects into the right place, moving each one of them into their final resting spot. Now that kind of sounds morbid, but really, it feels like a nice conclusion to this mini episode of getting things to work. There is one last thing I need to do: get rid of the prototype buttons. I'm a little unsure if everything is working flawlessly, so I'm going to hide the buttons instead of removing them until I do some more extensive testing with the interactions. Now this part is a treat. I've got a prototype statue up on screen, drawn just from imagination. It's not really ideal, so I'm just going to try to make something a little better. And of course, congrats, you get to see a modern Picasso work his magic by flailing around an Aseprite. You heard it here first. And that is the first part of the questing system complete. I fixed up the systems inside the house, changing how I interact with different objects, from using prototype buttons to being able to walk up, hit a hotkey, and open up different things. If you made it this far, thanks. Leave a like and subscribe if you've enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.